Sorry about that. I had a little emergency, so this is part two of the podcast. I apologize. So this is basically what we're talking about in regards to what's happening in your life. Now, we talked about the emotional eating aspect of it. So instead of doing that where you have that craving, make sure you're on a sleep schedule. Make sure you're not sleeping more than an hour later than your regular bedtime during the week, because that's very important. And also, too, nutrition's important. So, like today, like I didn't feel as good. Well, I had kind of a crappy day diet wise. I had a couple cookies from Subway, which probably isn't healthy. First time I had cookies in like 30 days. And I'm not that sensitive, but still, I didn't feel like, oh my God, it's all over. But it was like, when you put better nutrition in your body, you feel so much better. And that is so important to obviously that case. So basically what we're looking at right now is obviously the emotional eating part, and the solution to that is just to be aware of how you feel, stick to a schedule, and when you have the urge, eat something healthy. If you have an hour to go, see if you can make it. Now, if you can, eat something healthy. Chew your food. And then continue to do a diary of how you feel. Journal, that would probably be the most important thing to help you out. So I want to go over a study today that kind of goes over what we're doing here with the Nutrition News Network, of course. I love to talk, like I said, we talk about more studies. Now, obviously, in the next couple weeks and months, I'm going to start having more things in the background, like more videos within the videos, so that way you're not seeing my face for 30 minutes and be like, who is that great guy? Why, I know he's good looking, but I want to see some evidence. But you can look for him yourself. But the next study is a UK study that I just located. It's from the University of Birmingham, and it's also cross-studied with the University of Denmark. This is from, obviously, Science Daily, but it's also from that university. They published it. It's the link between inflammation and mental sluggishness. Now, they had only 20 people in this study. And what's interesting about it is that a study that only has 20 people isn't really much of a study. Normally, if you have a double blind, meaning you have people that say they take a supplement. Let's say if you did a supplement on, let's say, vitamin C. Okay, vitamin C lowers cortisol. Well, that's a no-brainer because it does. There's a lot of peer-reviewed journals that show that it does lower cortisol. But if you don't tackle the issue that you have, it doesn't matter. You can't just take vitamin C all the time and like expect it to go away. That's another story for another day. But 20 people in the one setting for basically like 25 minutes, it doesn't, or like 2 hours or whatever it was, doesn't, it's just one setting of 20 college students. So you're really not getting it, because young brains are still pretty resilient. They can overcome. I'd like to see a study that shows people like my age, in my early 40s, that what inflammation does for mental sluggishness or brain fog. So let's talk about this. Inflammation is a protective thing. Now, inflammation is done for the pure purpose of protecting your organs. Okay? If you are obese or overweight, you have excess inflammation. And that will affect your brain in a lot of ways. Lack of sleep will create more inflammation because your brain and your body does its house cleaning at night. There's also a lot of things you can do with inflammation of the joints. All that stuff's tied to the brain. So if you have mental sluggishness, causes inflammation, it's kind of like a chicken or egg scenario. This study is kind of a whitewash. To be honest with you, it's kind of a no-brainer that if you don't get enough sleep or you have high inflammation, you're going to be brain fogged. That's pretty simple. Now, Personally, what I would do is if you have brain fog in the morning, there's a couple nutrients that would be freaking amazing for it. Now, a little shout out to wellnessresources.com. Byron Richards, God rest his soul. Just a great nutritionist, probably one of the pioneers of the supplement industry. Wellnessresources.com. He passed away, unfortunately, in 2014. But he has a couple products that are amazing for brain fog. So number one is they have what is called panathine. Panathine is the active form of vitamin B5. B5, the regular amount is, or sorry, the regular term is called pantothenic acid. Pantothenic acid, I think it is. It's 11:45 in the evening. What do you want from me? Come on, really? I'm joking. Anyways, so that's a great product for clearing brain fog. It's also good for detoxifying alcohol. It's also good at getting rid of brain fog, but it's also good for the heart and the muscles. It's a very good supplement. I would highly recommend that. Also a good one for high inflammation. Normally, if it's excitotoxic in nature, especially if you're drinking or you're smoking or you're on any kind of, or you're coming off of any kind of medication like antidepressants, obviously check with a doctor before you ever do that, because that's very dangerous. But a good one if it's excessive excitotoxic damage is amino acid called L-carnosine. L-carnosine is very protective of the heart, but it's also good for inflammation and quenches it as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that help with brain inflammation. That's a good one. Fish oil, DHA, curcumin, curcuminides, 95%, amazing. I mean, there's a lot of things can help with brain nutrition to stop inflammation, and brain fog, or i.e. mental sluggishness. I'm thinking about that one commercial. Do you have pseudo bulbar or whatever it is, where the lady's laughing uncontrollably? Maybe I have that. I have to get my head examined. All right, anyways. But the study was a whitewash, like I said before, but I think that bottom line is that, obviously it's a no-brainer that, sleep, understanding and knowing your stressors and what you want to spend your energy on. If you're getting emotional and spending your energy on something that doesn't really affect you directly, and then when you need the energy for something else, well, that inflammation is going to ramp up, but over time it becomes chronic, and then you kind of just go, ugh, like your body doesn't want to deal with it. So brain inflammation and mental sluggishness, I'll tell you what, it is an important thing to battle, because if you have mental sluggishness in the morning, it takes a lot longer to get going in the morning, and also too at night it stays up late. It's kind of part of that HPA axis. Okay, so next topic we're going to talk about is cortisol and circadian rhythms. So what I like to talk about, in these type of things, cortisol, for example, is very important. People say, I want to get rid of all my cortisol. No, you don't. You won't be able to get up in the morning. You won't want to get out of bed. You won't be able to, you won't want to get going in the morning. And symptoms of bad cortisol, meaning cortisol that's elevated too much for a certain period of time, is called cortisol exhaustion or adrenal exhaustion. So the adrenal glands sit atop the kidneys. There's like two little triangular things. So it secretes cortisol either whenever you do something that's active. You wake up in the morning, you use cortisol. You drink coffee, it increases cortisol. You jog, it increases cortisol. You get in an argument with your wife or your husband, it increases cortisol. You flip off somebody because they don't know how to drive, that increases cortisol. So those things increase cortisol, there's things that lower cortisol, but it's tied directly with circadian rhythms. So what do I mean by that? Cortisol is needed in the morning. It's like lubricant in the engine. Like your body's an engine, and cortisol is the oil. The problem is the viscosity of the oil, meaning the cortisol, it gets too high too much, the oil starts to burn. When you have that burn, it turns into what is called adrenal exhaustion. So that's chronic stress, chronic events that cause a lot of stress. I mean, if you have like 6 or 7 major life events within 5 years, you're at a big risk for adrenal exhaustion. So what people do is they just start to plow through things even harder because I'm tough, you know, which is fine. However, cortisol is like a credit card. Sooner or later, you have to pay it back. The adrenal exhaustion doesn't go away by itself. You need to have a set bedtime every night. You also have to have, excuse me, set programs in place for nutrition. Cortisol and circadian is very important, so that's the most important thing. So those circadian rhythm issues come when you're not sleeping, or if you're getting a lot of sleep, like say you wake up at 8 the one day and you wake up at 10 the next, or 1 p.m. Well, your clock is screwed up. People are like, I don't know why I feel like crap. I was angry all day. I don't know what that. It's because your circadian rhythms are off. It's very important to get through and set a set bedtime. It's very important for that. So I only got a few more minutes left, but this is something that's important. So what are some good things for nutrition for cortisol? Well, cortisol, cortisol, if it's, you need it to get up in the morning. So if you have adrenal exhaustion, if it takes you longer than 15 minutes to get up and get going, there is some form of adrenal exhaustion. The adrenals are kind of worn down if it's more than 15 minutes. Now, if it takes you like an hour, that's not good. If it takes you more than 2 hours, you've got exhaustion. Same bedtime's obviously good for that, but also too, same going to bed at the same time, also trying to get enough sleep. That's very important as well. So I'm glad that we talked about that because that was very important to what's happening. But like I said, with cortisol, there's a lot of nutrients that can reduce if it's high. And the time being, vitamin C is very important if you're taking a higher dose, more than 3 grams a day. Normally capsules or tablets or powders. I like powder just for the simple fact it's more absorbable and the fact it's easy and I can take a lot. I put it in my little water bottle here, my clean canteen. And a big thing, for anything, I have 3 of these a day because it's 120 ounces of water I drink out throughout the day. So I put it in there, I put a half teaspoon, which is 4 grams. Now, I take 12 grams a day. Usually you want to take till you get to upper bowel tolerance. So what's upper bowel tolerance? Well, it's basically if you take it up to bowel tolerance where you have the Hershey squirts, basically. Don't worry, it's not bad. So you would reduce your dose by 25%. That's your median dose. Then you check it after a couple months or whatever. So normally it's 3, but if you're going under stress, there's people that if I've talked to, they've had to take 30, 50, 60 grams because they had a death in the family. They lost their job. They're going through a breakup. But then when things are going well, they only need like 4 to 5 grams of vitamin C. Some need just 1 or 2. It just depends on how your adrenals handle that with the cortisol. So that's a good cortisol lowering. Magnesium is very beneficial. Magnesium bound to glycine, like relaxing amino acids. Taurine. Wouldn't go with magnesium aspartate because aspartate is a excito type nutrient. So I would stay away from the aspartates unless it's a natural non-GMO aspartate like in an alpha cougarate like type magnesium with the Krebs cycle. Those are good because it's actually very beneficial. Wellness Resources, again, Muscle Mag is a good one for that, for like working out and stuff. It's a good type of magnesium. It's with magnesium, magnesium malic acid and malate. That's more good. That's actually better for people with fibromyalgia. Magnesium malate. But I like the magnesium glycinate just for the simple fact that it calms the nerves. But I like magnesium for the simple fact that it has literally obliterated. I had an anxiety disorder really bad for almost 15 years. Ever since 2011 when I started taking that stuff, my anxiety I still have, like everybody's anxious about something, but it's gone down. The ability to handle stress has gotten a lot better. So magnesium is very important. B vitamins, coenzyme B vitamins, the active form, those are very important. Those are imperative. A good daily energy multiple vitamin is very important. Wellness Resources, another plug again. With the active form of B vitamins, you can tell what's a good B vitamin by looking at the quality of their B vitamins in a multiple vitamin. So if you look at a multiple vitamin, it has cyanocobalamin and it has, it doesn't have P5P, which is, basically B6. If they don't have that, then you're pretty much throwing money down the toilet. There's only a few companies that actually do that. And they, obviously do that for a reason, because it costs a lot less. Because I think, what is it per kilo? I think it's 78% cheaper to buy the inactive form. But there's ways to save money, obviously. Also, too, when you take the coenzyme forms, you don't have to take as much. Plus, if you take too much non-activated B12 or non-activated B vitamins, too much B6 can cause irritation to some people as well. So, with that being said, it's been a pleasure speaking to all of you today, or tonight. So we talked about cortisol, circadian rhythms, the University of Birmingham study on inflammation and mental sluggishness and emotional eating and the effects of. I'm Brian Budd. This has been the Nutritional News Podcast for November 24th, 2019. Please subscribe for new videos coming out. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you then. God bless and happy Thanksgiving.